Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Steelers. Here we go. Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. Here we go. We're back, baby. Aaron Rodgers is a Pittsburgh Steeler. I love it. Great day. Great day to be alive. Great day to be a Steeler fan. Because we have legitimate Super Bowl aspirations. I feel like we are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Why wouldn't we be? We added Aaron Rodgers. We bolstered up the defense, built up the trenches, added DK Metcalf, traded away drama that was George Pickens. Added to the running back room, got the running game, the running back room more explosive. The O-line should be the best that our O-line has been since the Pouncey DeCastro days. A lot of it hinges on Broderick Jones moving to left and succeeding and living up to the hype. But man, look at the investments. Look at the signings. Look at the draft picks that we made on our offensive line. We have a competent offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith. So, like, what's there not to like about this Steelers team when you stack it up now against all these other AFC teams? We were complaining. We were wondering if we were going to get elite quarterback play in here. Now, I get it. Is Rodgers going to return to form? Is he going to return to at least top 10? But let me ask you this: how hard is it to believe that Aaron Rodgers, going from the New York Jets, who had a top 15 season last year with them, with a dumpster fire of an organization, a terrible situation, was a top 15 quarterback? I mean, I think that's pretty safe to say. 28 touchdowns, 11 picks. Is it that far of a stretch to say like he's going to go to a better situation in the Steelers and he's going to be another year removed from that Achilles injury that he'll at least return to top 10? Like, don't even get me started on returning to like Aaron Rodgers form, vintage Aaron Rodgers form, MVP Aaron Rodgers type of form. Don't even get me started about that, because that's not out of the realm of possibility either. But just become a top 10 quarterback for next year. Like, come on. Like, that's what we need. A top 10 quarterback, elite quarterback play, and the rest of his team to do his job. Because I'll be honest. I mean, we were having similar conversations last year. I feel like Aaron Rodgers this offseason, though, has more juice to it than Russ last offseason. Like, because it's Aaron Rodgers, that's Russell Wilson. But we were having similar conversations, right? Oh, man, we should have improved quarterback play. We made all these nice additions in free agency and in the draft. Defense should be better. Defense was banged up, and we still made the playoffs, went 10-7, went to the wild card in 2023. And then we got additions on offense. Like, I mean, we went 10-7 the year prior. We have all these nice moves that Omar Khan made. We should at least we should be better than that. Like, we should be legit contenders in the AFC. We said that last year, and it was looking good when we were 10-3, but then we finished again 10-7. And when it all was said and done, we weren't really in the mix like that. We weren't in the same tier as the Chiefs and some of these other top teams in the AFC to get to the Super Bowl. Now, granted, so we were saying similar things last year. I will be honest, around this point in last year's offseason. But if you have to give someone credit, I mean, because that's the thing. A lot of people could be like, man, we were saying these same things. We made new additions. We had these personnel moves, all this other type of stuff. But Tomlin's been here this whole time. Tomlin's been here for these last however many seasons with these playoff disappointments and the team not living up to the hype. So, like, even with the Aaron Rodgers signing and the stuff that we did for this 2025 offseason, what is anything really going to change? But we got to give credit where credit is due, because if we would have fired Mike Tomlin, I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is coming here. And I was one of those people that said if we would have let go of Mike Tomlin at the end of last season and how we got blown out in the wild card game by the Ravens, it would have been warranted. I was one of those guys. But you got to give credit where credit is due. I don't know if Rodgers is coming here if it weren't for Mike Tomlin. Look at this tweet from Schefter. Steelers never wavered in their belief that Aaron Rodgers eventually would sign with Pittsburgh. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin loomed large in this entire situation. Tomlin was a drawing card for Rodgers and was happy to work with Rodgers' timeline. He's a major reason that Rodgers will be a Steeler. I feel like we've done everything we've needed to do this offseason to give ourselves a chance to win in 2025 and be in Super Bowl contention for 2025. Because what did I say? And probably a lot of you guys say the Steelers couldn't do this offseason. That is just run it back and stick with the old ways. Let's just run it back with Russ. It was good enough. It got us to the playoff. It's the safe way to go about things. Let's just keep the same situation going that we had. And again, coaching turnover would have been a warranted way to go about things. But we didn't. I mean, we learned early on in the offseason that we weren't doing that. So what can we do? If Tomlin's coming back, Terrell Austin's coming back, the whole coaching staff's coming back. I think we only lost some random assistant coach this offseason. Was it a linebackers coach? We got a new linebackers coach in here. I think we swapped Aaron Curry for an old Cowboys assistant linebackers coach or something like that. That was it. So no coaching turnover. I sat and thought to myself, like a lot of you guys, it's like, what's the silver lining then? What is the way for us to actually be contenders then? Because if we don't make changes, then there's no hope. We're just going to continue to be spinning our tires and be in this purgatory. So we're not doing coaching changes. All right. I mean, the coaches, Tomlin, he's been at the head of all this for the last however many years. You start to wonder if things have run its course. But if we are going to bring him back, what's the way that he can get this situation back on top and back to where things need to be? You need elite quarterback play. You need to build up the trenches, get that defense right again, because we could complain about the offense at the end of last season as much as we want. The defense was terrible too. But we need elite quarterback because you're not winning without a quarterback. You're not. Flat out, you're not. We need elite quarterback play. You need to bolster up the defense. You got to get more explosive on offense. Those were the three things. Those are the main three things. The main thing is elite quarterback play, right? But those are the main three things, and I think we've hit on everything. Brought in Aaron Rodgers. You're giving yourself a really decent shot for elite quarterback play in 2025. Are there downsides to it? Potential downsides because of his age and stuff. You're still not figuring out your long-term solution. Yeah, whatever. I mean, we got a 2026 draft ahead of us where we got a ton of picks, compensatory picks, and all that stuff to try to load up and maybe get the guy then. But maybe Aaron Rodgers balls out and we have him for another season or two. But Aaron Rodgers, coming off of that season with the Jets, 28 touchdowns, 11 picks, still can make every throw. That gives you a decent chance at elite quarterback play. And on a reasonable contract, it's going to be 1 year. It's $10 million, $15 million. I don't know. It's not going to be anything crazy. So we did that. Aaron Rodgers versus all the other options, you can make a really good case, and I have in the past, that this was the best approach for the quarterback position this offseason and trying to win in 2025. Aaron Rodgers gives you as good of a chance, if not better, than any other option that was out there this offseason. Whether you're talking trading for Stafford, whether you're talking bringing back Fields, bringing back Russ, signing Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers is as good, if not better, than all those options. I mean, you could make a really good case, really strong argument that he is better than those other options for one season. And then we bolstered up the running back room, got rid of Najee, Caleb Johnson, brought in Kenneth Gainwell. And then on defense, we did build up the trenches with Derek Harmon. Drafted Y.A. Black, drafted Jack Sawyer. The free agency moves, bringing in Malik Harrison. We also brought in Darius Slay. We made the trade for DK Metcalf, another way to get more explosive on offense. So, like, bro, as much as we want to complain about how the last decade's gone, how the last 5-6 years have gone with playoff success, and how things have gone stale here, Tomlin's been at the head of it, and think that we could change quarterbacks, we could change assistant coaches, all this stuff, but it's still the same results. And, like, man, something's got to give from the top. Like, what are we doing here? As much as that's a legitimate criticism. With Tomlin still being here, though, I think we've done everything to give ourselves a shot to get back right. I got to give credit where credit's due. Okay, I just got a bunch of random tweets here that I wanted to go over. Actually, let me read the first chat here first comment from the chat. It says, I don't normally catch the show live. I always catch the replay. Couldn't wait to see your take. Well, I hope my take's all right so far. I hope my takes are all right. They definitely are. I mean, dude, I've been calling for this. How the Steelers handle this offseason, I kind of called my shot. Kind of did. Going way back to like middle of January of like what the plan should be, how we should start going about things. Now, granted, I left options open. It's like, oh, we could go Rodgers, could go Fields. Like, let's think about this. But Rodgers was always one of my top options, and not a lot of people were taking that seriously. I want to go over some tweets here. I got some good, like, just food for thought tweets, just good, like, context tweets from Steeler fans on Twitter. And then also a couple things from Adam Schefter here, follow-up tweets from him. Says, Pittsburgh packs its own personal revenge tour for quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Week 1, Steelers at Jets. Week 2, Seahawks at Steelers. I don't know why he threw the Seahawks in there. I guess the Seahawks because of past playoff losses. The one in particular when the Packers were up like 2 scores with a few minutes left out in Seattle, and they somehow lost that game because of the Boss onside kick. Is that what he's talking about? But like that team isn't even around anymore. You know what I mean? That was like Legion of Boom, Russell Wilson. This is a whole new team, whole new coach. Maybe Rodgers still has hatred for that Seahawks logo, though. Vikings, Steelers. Yeah, then you got like the NFC North gauntlet here. Vikings, Steelers, Packers, Steelers, Steelers, Bears, Steelers, Lions. Steelers, Jets, Steelers, Vikings, Steelers, Packers. Those are the ones. I think those are the biggest ones of note. Steelers, Jets. Rodgers versus the Jets, and then Fields versus the Steelers. Come on, can't write it any better. Week 1. That needed to be a primetime game. I said it when the schedule dropped. That needed to be at least 4 o'clock. Let that be a primetime game. That's crazy. Crazy that it's just going to be week 1 at 1 o'clock. That deserves so much more coverage, so much more hype and publicity. But, man, I'm telling you, Rodgers is going to be on a mission. I really think so. He's going to be pissed off. He's going to have that chip on his shoulder. The Jets, the lowly Jets. First-year head coach Aaron Glenn. Never has won a game as a head coach in the league yet. Said, you're not good enough for us anymore. I don't want your advice. You could fly all this way, whatever it is, 5 hours from California to here. And this meeting's only going to last 15 minutes, and then you could get your ass out of here. You mean to tell me the Jets picking Justin Fields over Aaron Rodgers and this game being week 1 isn't going to light a fire under Rodgers' ass? I think he's going to go for 4 touchdowns. I think he's going to try to rub it in their face. And let's not act like the dude ain't capable of that, man. Last year was an off year, down year. It was still a better year than most average quarterbacks out in this league, man. He's finished the season with 4 touchdowns, actually, in a 4-touchdown game against the Dolphins. Can make every throw still. Like he still has it. He still has it. To the degree that he's the same player 10, 15 years ago, I don't think he's as mobile, but that arm ain't going anywhere. That mind ain't going anywhere. Maybe not as mobile. I saw him be mobile enough late in the season as he was knocking off that Achilles injury rust, though. Every point in Rodgers' career where he's had a chip on his shoulder, he's had doubters and haters, he's proven wrong and has lit it up. Going back to like his high school JUCO days at Cal, turned Cal for 2 years into like a top 10 program in college football. And then in the pros, Packers draft Jordan Love. You see him go for back-to-back MVP seasons right after that. So, like, Rodgers, he's got to be at that point. He's playing football this year. I mean, he wants to play. He's going to be out there. And you know all that stuff, all the narratives, and where people think Rodgers is at his career right now. They don't think he's good enough anymore. You don't think he's taking notes? That's going to add some fuel to the fire. He's got a chance, man, to go on a hell of a run here and have a really good season. I don't discount an MVP type season from Aaron Rodgers. Don't discount it. It's not like we haven't seen it before from all-time greats going to better situations. Tom Brady from New England in his last year. Everyone thought he was washed. Seriously, everyone did. But if you actually watch the games, you could tell that he still knew how to throw football. He could still sling it. In fact, I swear at times in his 40s, his arm strength was better than ever at any other point in his career in his 30s and whatnot. He just didn't have weapons. That New England team just wasn't it anymore. There's something to be said for a quarterback carrying a team, but football is also still the ultimate team sport. That Patriots team wasn't it. So anyone with eyes, anyone with football knowledge could see, all right, if you get Brady with a good situation, you got a chance to win a Super Bowl because it's Tom Brady. He's an all-time great. Tampa Bay took advantage of that. And Tom Brady also took advantage of being down in Tampa and having weapons and lit it up. Had MVP-esque type of seasons. Won a Super Bowl his first year, threw for, I think it was the most yards in the league. His second year down there, was lighting it up. Seen it with Peyton Manning, even though Peyton Manning, he didn't really age too well, the neck injuries and stuff. But in his second stint into his late 30s with the Broncos, lighting it up there. And then Brett Favre, the obvious example with the Vikings, going from the Jets, just like Aaron Rodgers, where he kind of had a weird year there, got off to a hot start, but then started throwing a ton of picks, got injured down the stretch, retired again, but then goes to the Vikings with Adrian Peterson, some nice receivers, and arguably has his best statistical season as a pro. So don't count that out from Aaron Rodgers. Do not count that out at all. The Vikings, though, same story. Like, they picked J.J. McCarthy, an unproven rookie, over Aaron Rodgers. Week 4. That's going to be out in Ireland. You don't think Rodgers is taking notes of that? You don't think Rodgers is going to want to throw for 3-4 touchdowns in that game? And then Packers, Steelers. Packers did ultimately pick Jordan Love over Rodgers as well. In a way. Like, they drafted Jordan Love, and Rodgers had a couple MVP seasons. And then his last year in Green Bay was clearly hurt. Was thrown to a bunch of no-name receivers after they traded Devontae Adams. And they moved off of Rodgers. Rodgers went into the darkness, was contemplating whether or not he wanted to still play football, which is crazy because I think he said he went into that darkness retreat 90% that he wasn't going to play anymore. And now he's going on 3 years since then of playing in the league. But anyway, yeah, Packers were like, you know what? We're gonna start thinking about moving Aaron Rodgers. And he comes out of the darkness retreat, hears those reports, and gets pissed. And he's like, you know what? Yeah, I like 100% want to play now. Forget about 90% don't want to play. I 100% want to play, and I want to play for the Jets. Get me out of here. And then Bears, Lions. Yeah, he owns the Bears. Lions, that'll be a good matchup. Yeah, Lions, good team nowadays. Other tweets from Schefter. It says Steelers and Aaron Rodgers need each other. Steelers have lost 6 straight playoff games, their longest postseason losing streak. Team history. Rodgers hasn't won a playoff game since the 2020 divisional playoff. A 32-18 win against the Rams on January 16, 2021. 1,601 days ago. Yeah, both the Steelers and Rodgers are undergoing some playoff losing streaks. Let's try to right those wrongs together. What else we got here? This is good. This is good. This is what I'm talking about when I say don't count out Aaron Rodgers becoming a top 10 quarterback again, or don't count him out becoming an elite quarterback again. 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers last year, 28 touchdowns, 11 picks for the worst organization in the NFL. I mean, that's debatable between like the Jets, the Browns. There's other organizations you could put in that conversation, but sure. Everyone's amped up right now. So the Jets were the worst organization in football last year. Rodgers had to deal with the worst organization in football. Mahomes, 26 touchdowns, 11 picks. Jordan Love, 25 touchdowns, 11 picks. Now, he was injured for a few games. Those would probably be better numbers if he played a full season. Jaden Daniels, 25 touchdowns, 9 picks. Rodgers, 3 more touchdowns, only a couple more picks than Jaden Daniels, a guy that everyone is viewing as a top 6 or 7 quarterback right now. He's next up. Kyler Murray, 21 touchdowns, 11 picks. CJ Stroud, 20 touchdowns, 11 picks. Brock Purdy, 20 touchdowns, 12 picks. Just got, 50-something million from the 49ers? Mega deal. Honestly, if the Niners were smart, they probably should have sent Purdy packing, traded him, got some picks, and brought in Rodgers for a year or two, and then drafted one of these Honestly, they just should have followed what the Steelers are doing right now. If they were smart. I don't think that Purdy deal is going to work out for him. Stafford, 20 touchdowns, 8 picks. Tua, 19 touchdowns, 7 picks. Yeah, so 28 touchdowns, 11 picks. Don't sound too bad, huh? Doesn't sound like the man's too far washed, too far gone here. Look at some of these big names. They got worse stats, worse production. Now, I get it. Stats aren't the be-all, end-all. If you're watching games last year, Stafford was a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. Mahomes was a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. But still, this tells you something. And I think that something is Duke can still play. Just give him a decent situation, not the worst organization in football. How about this? From Minkaberg. Aaron Rodgers' situation last year. Rushing game, 31st ranked. Stat I didn't really know. I didn't even think of. Yeah, didn't really have a good running attack with the Jets. Receivers, tight ends, put them in the top 10 quarterbacks affected by drops. We remember that from the Sunday night game, Steelers-Jets. Threw a dime to Garrett Wilson down the sideline, clanged off his chest. Beanie Bishop, second pick of the day. O-line was absolutely terrible. Yeah, it wasn't good. Defense below average. It was good to start off the year. Then they fired Saul, and the defense was terrible. He's right. Coaching, second worst overall staff behind the Bears. Yeah, I mean, they fired their head coach, who was their best coach on the staff. Actually knew what he was doing on defense. Fired him like 5 weeks into the season. They had Nat Hackett. Ended up firing him midway through. So they have a bunch of new coaches that never have done the rules that they were given midway through the season. And you wonder why the Jet season went so poorly. Yet he was still top 8 in yards and touchdowns. Now, granted, Rodgers had his hand in the Jets' failures last year. He wasn't perfect. There were opportunities. They were down one score. Jets had the ball. Rodgers had the ball with an opportunity to tie it or go up. And he didn't come through. Not everyone could be Big Ben. Big Ben's final season, I could basically list off the same surroundings, but he ended up carrying that sorry team to the playoffs. We go 9-7-1 and make the playoffs. Should have been 10-7, actually, because he missed that Lions game with COVID, and Mason had to go in there, and we ended up getting that tie. But we know if Ben was starting in that game, we would have won, which is crazy. I mean, you could really list off similar things. Big Ben, final season for the Steelers. Wide receivers, ton of drops. Deontay drops all across the board. Claypool, antics, falling down. Rushing game was, from an efficiency standpoint, not that great because we had Matt Canada calling the plays and being too predictable out there. Offensive line was the worst offensive line in the league, with Kendrick Green at center, Dan Moore as a rookie at left tackle, starting at left tackle. And then we had the worst rush defense in the league statistically. Yet we still made the playoffs. So, not everyone could be Big Ben. Aaron Rodgers is not Big Ben, not as good as Big Ben, clearly. We've been over this. We've talked about this. But let's look at his situation last year. I think we can look at his situation last year and say, it wasn't set up for him. I know the dude can still throw. The dude is still an all-time great. So let's see what happens if given better surroundings and given a better organization and better structure like the Steelers. Couple more. No, I already read that. This is pretty good. I like this one. Aaron Rodgers is a perfect 3-0 against the Browns and 3-1 versus the Ravens over his career, picking up right where former Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger left off. So I like the move, man. Clearly, I like the move. I think the Steelers are giving themselves the best chance possible to make a run at it in 2025. And then you see what happens after 2025 for 2026 with the draft, if you're talking quarterback or however you want to shuffle up the deck. But we are all in. From the draft, the free agent moves, the signings, adding Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, we're saying we're giving ourselves a chance. And I appreciate that. I really do. Because at the end of last season, things were looking bleak. And I was concerned that we were going to look at last year and say, oh, we still made the playoffs. We went 10-7. We were in the mix. It's good enough. We could just run it back. We could be safe. We could feel like if we give it another year with Arthur Smith, if we give it another year with Russell Wilson and some of the pieces we had on offense and defense, then we'll be good. We'll figure it out. The second year, the continuity, all that stuff, we'll straighten it out. But that wasn't going to be the case, in my opinion. I feel like you were just going to be going down the same path, if not a worse path. Worse path. Sorry, tongue twister there. If you were to just run it back. Because we saw when Russ started to get figured out down the stretch, and just overall, man, I don't like the defense too. We did get banged up a little bit, like not to that degree, just it just wasn't it, man. Like you could tell things faded, the juice ran out, and it's not like another season was going to be doing us any better and getting that spark back. No, it's like this team it's getting up there in age. We need to rejuvenate it. We need to get youth on defense. We need to get more explosive on offense. We need an elite quarterback in there. And we're trying to do that this offseason. The moves correspond with those sentiments. Now, real quick before I sign off, what do we do at receiver? Because we traded away Pickens, and there is still another move to be made. We've been talking about a Jonnu Smith trade, talking about an Olave trade a couple weeks ago. Gabe Davis visited with the Steelers. I don't know if he's still visited with the Steelers after the Rodgers news today. No one's heard about that at all, how that went, if he signed here. But Steelers are still lurking for another piece after trading away Pickens. And now with adding Rodgers, it's like, okay, what's the fit? Who's the best receiver to bring in here? Who's going to be the best match for Rodgers and the style of offense we're going to want to run with him and Arthur Smith? This can't be real. This can't be real. I will say this. AB, I think, was first on the Aaron Rodgers scoop. Him and CTSPN, I think, tweeted out a picture of Rodgers and Tomlin. It might even been before free agency started. I can't remember. It was like, might have been day one of free agency. It might have been day one of the tampering period. But he's been saying all along Rodgers to the Steelers. And he's saying that Rodgers is his source. The reason he knew Rodgers was going to the Steelers, it's because he's in direct communication with Aaron Rodgers. And this was also a part of the conversations. Breaking, 7-time Pro Bowl receiver Antonio Brown says new Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers asked him in February if he would be interested in playing again for Pittsburgh. AB84 tells ML Football. A breaking report from ML Football. So, I don't know, man. Like, this can't be real. This just can't be real. Brown 36, a future Hall of Famer. I don't know if that's true. By the numbers, yes, 100%. He's one of the best receivers of all time. Is still in elite football shape and works out daily. Is he gonna make the Hall of Fame? I think he's gonna make the Hall of Fame. They might make him wait or something. Remember they made T.O. wait a couple years or whatever. But based off the numbers, there's no doubt about it. Antonio Brown's a Hall of Famer. This can't be a real report. It just can't be a real report. But AB did retweet this. AB was on the Aaron Rodgers scoop. Aaron Rodgers asked him in February if he would be interested in playing again in Pittsburgh. I don't think AB is the one that's making that decision. AB is not the one making the decision of whether or not AB is playing in Pittsburgh. I think that's going to be the Steelers, Mike Tomlin, Omar Khan, and Rooney. And what did Tomlin say in the Ryan Clark Pivot podcast? We know that ain't happening. But for the hell of it, as a hypothetical, should we do it? Would I be opposed or would I entertain this? Oh man. Oh man. Uh I'm leaning no, but you know what? I'm not. What's Rodgers say? What's his saying? Attached to nothing, open to everything, or open to everything, attached to nothing. I won't close the door. I wouldn't close the door. If Rodgers thinks AB would be the best receiver for him in the offense, that would be the best fit. That would be the best Wi-Fi. That would be the best chemistry. On the field, I mean, there's definitely worse options. Either AB's been out of the league. How many years? I mean, yeah, AB versus Amari Cooper versus Keenan Allen versus Gabe Davis. If you want to talk about free agents, if you make a case, AB's the best of that bunch right there. On the field, just on the field. That this would be absolute chaos, though. Yeah, I would lean no. I just think, wow, yeah, it would make for an interesting season, to say the least. That's a guarantee. I think it's already a guarantee with us signing Aaron Rodgers. There's going to be content daily, interesting stuff to talk about. There's headlines, everything with Rodgers. Imagine adding AB. It's not happening. It's not happening. But like from an on the field standpoint, I think it would be worth a swing if we're talking about signing Cooper and Gabe. Hey, AB. I mean, we wouldn't be asking him to be number one anymore. He'd be like the wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, kind of like what he was in Tampa with Brady. So you could see the parallels there. We'd have Rodgers, AB, Metcalf, you have Pat Freiermuth. You could still bring in a Gabe Davis. You could still bring in an additional receiver if you wanted to. But, I think we're still going to give Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin a chance. Got the running backs. Like, you could see it. Like, you could see it on paper. But, I mean, come on. Come on. All right. We got another person that would be, I guess, a little bit open-minded to it. Maybe more open-minded than me. He says, I'd take him back for the year. LOL. I wouldn't shut the door completely. I think you'd what if that was happening behind the scenes this whole time? Rodgers, Tomlin, AB concocting this whole roster situation. That'd be wild. But there is there's other options that may be out there. I'm seeing Terry McLaurin, things with him and the Commanders aren't going too well. I mean, that would be a hell of a trade to pull off. You have Terry McLaurin, Aaron Rodgers, and DK Metcalf. I'd be all for that. Yeah, we'll see what happens with the Gabe Davis visit. Mari Cooper's still out there. Keenan Allen's still out there. I don't think we're in this big rush to make a signing. Maybe you see how these mandatory mini camps go with Rodgers. Have a conversation with him. What he would be liking. Does he want one of those old Packers receivers he played with in his last season in Green Bay, like a Dobbs or something, Dobbs or Christian Watson or Lazard? And I'm not saying you pick one of those guys over the other guys available via trade or free agency. But at least hear what he's got to say. And then, make the best decision as an organization and go with what you think will be best for the offense. Not necessarily Aaron Rodgers, because I talked about this actually earlier. Just because dude's a great player doesn't mean he's automatically a great GM. Sometimes you need a bird's eye view approach, a guy on the outside to figure out the best fit and who's going to be best playing together. Because Rodgers, as kind of pseudo GM with the Jets, we clearly see that didn't work out. So we don't automatically just give Aaron Rodgers whatever he wants, but maybe hear him out, think what the compensation would be, all that stuff. Factor in all the equation of what it would take to get certain players in here, whether or not they're linked to Rodgers in the past or have familiarity with Rodgers in the past or not. But I don't think we got to be in a rush right now. Rodgers just signed. Let it play out for a week or two. See what happens. In terms of AB, M. Caldezero says, I'd be willing to bet he's still got ball left in him. He'd be a decent number 2. That's what I mean. On paper or like on the field, strictly on the field, there's worse options than AB right now. AB, you could argue maybe he's the top option, top receiver option available. But he's also he hasn't played in a minute. I don't know. Yeah, it's pie in the sky. Let's just be real, pie in the sky. But that's it for today's show and today's breaking news. Aaron Rodgers signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be back next week, 6 p.m. I think that's the first day of mandatory minicamp, actually. So I'm sure we'll react to that. Rodgers will have quotes and interviews taking place for sure between now and then. I'm sure he'll do an introductory press conference maybe tomorrow or over the weekend. So, yeah, a lot of content going to be popping off here for Steeler Nation. Stay chilling. Peace.